And admit Angela. Hey, Angela, thank you for joining. There you go. Hey, Angela.
Hi, thank you so much.
Sure thing. All right, we'll get started in just a moment. Kelly, I thought you logged in as WaveRiders swim team.
Hey, Paul, that's actually me. I just
Oh,
realized
it's Tim.
that.
Hey, Tim, how are you?
Good
Tim
morning.
Afromite is our treasurer, everybody. All right, I've got 2 minutes after, and we've got a lot to cover this evening. So thank you. Oh, one more coming in. All right, thank you everybody for joining. This is our WaveRiders parent meeting or new parent meeting for 2025. The hope of this meeting is to make sure that you as new parents to the swim team are as prepared as you can be for the upcoming swim season, and what you need to be prepared for, and what to expect with the coming season. I'm going to have to go a little bit quickly tonight, but if anybody at any time wants me to pause and discuss stuff in more detail, feel free. Just raise your hand, interrupt me, and whatever else. But it is a lot of information we're going to cover. I'm going to make this slide deck and recording available afterwards, and everything else you'll be able to find on our website. All right, so my name again, Paul Cassida. I'm the WaveRiders Vice President for 2025. Tim Afromaitis is logged in here as WaveRiders Swim Team. He's our treasurer, and I saw Kelly Joyner join as well. She's our secretary. And I hope everybody can see the presentation okay. So let's get started. Just a high-level agenda for this evening. We'll just go through some intros, a little team history, make sure you know what resources we have available, some volunteer and practice expectations, and then we'll talk kind of the ins and outs of a swim meet and a couple end-of-year things we like to do. All right. So again, I'm Paul Cassida, the Vice President. Kelly is with us this evening, as well as Tim, and you can see the rest of our board there. Ashley Antonioni is our volunteer coordinator. You've probably heard from her a lot already this season with volunteer requirements. She's been doing a great job for us. Our coaching staff, Coach Caleb Thomas is back again this year. This is, I think, his third year as head coach of the team, and happy to have him here. And then the rest of our coaching staff, as well as we also have 6 coaches in training, which is our developmental coaches that we're paying with volunteer hours and experience. So that's our coaches in training, but it does, having those coaches in training lets us be a lot more hands-on, especially with the younger swimmers. All right, quick history of the WaveRiders. We were founded in 2008 as the Watermill WaveRiders, and then as the Roundtree neighborhoods started coming up and people started moving in, they were welcomed into the Watermill WaveRiders team. And since then, the team has migrated from Watermill to Roundtree. So we operate out of the Roundtree pool these days. We are a 501c3 organization. We love donations and sponsorships. If you or anybody you know would like to sponsor the WaveRiders, you can reach out to our sponsorship coordinator. We are a part of the Chesterfield Aquatic League, and we compete in the A division. The A division is a lot of the big teams with very fast swimmers. So the divisions, there's 4 divisions, A, B, C, and D. We are around 190 swimmers this year as our team, and I think we're going to be the 3rd or 4th largest team in our division. Mag Green has around 268, I think is what they said. So Mag Green's the biggest team in our division. And then D division teams, some of them have maybe 30 kids. So the way the league gets split up is, size of the team and basically how many points did you score last year. But that's that. All right. Resources, first and foremost, is our website. We just moved to a new website this year on the Swimtopia platform, and we tried to get everything over there. So the website has a lot of good information, including the parent handbook, which you'll find under the Swim Meet 101 section of the website. Our Facebook group is amazing. We have a lot of parents out there who've been doing this a really long time and are extremely helpful. I can say probably if you post any question out there, it'll probably be answered within 15 minutes. The group there is so helpful with everything. We also have an Instagram nowadays. Give us a follow on Instagram. More fun than informational, I would say, is the Instagram. Not as formal, just kind of a little more lighthearted than the Facebook, I would say. Be sure to get the mobile app. We do a lot of push notifications to the mobile app. Like you've been seeing the past couple of days with practice changes. We try and communicate every which way we can, and the mobile app is one of them. You do have to enable notifications to get those push notifications. So be sure to do that. The Swimtopia app does offer a premium upgrade. We do not recommend buying that at this time. In order to use the features that come with the premium upgrade, we as a team have to be using those upgrades. And at this time, we are not doing that. I've also started working on a YouTube channel for the swim team. Hopefully be able to put some different stuff out there, some informational things out there, like this meeting. I hope to publish to the YouTube channel so it's available, but I just started cooking on that about a week or so ago. So it's in the works, nothing yet on the YouTube really, but there you go. Email addresses you need to know, WaveRiders Swim Team, that is your board of directors email. So keep that one familiar. WaveRiders Coaches is another good one. If you've signed up for a meet and you can't make it, send that over to Coach. Copy of the board as well, but WaveRiders Coaches for that kind of stuff and all things related to the coaching of your swimmers. The other one you'll see is WaveRiders Volunteer Coordinator. That's Ashley. That's her dedicated account for all things volunteer. So if you have any volunteer questions or issues, that's the resource for you there. Which is a good segue into volunteer expectations. So the expectation that we set out is 2 shifts per swimmer per family per season. So if you have 1 swimmer, you need to volunteer twice, is the short answer. If you have 2 swimmers, you need to volunteer 4 times per family. So, if you and your spouse want to, both volunteer to meet, well, that counts as 2 volunteers. So there you go. 1 shift equals about half a meet. There are some jobs that don't qualify for a whole shift, and that's advertised. And if you have questions about that, let me know or reach out to Ashley. But generally speaking, most jobs will be 1 shift. You sign up on the website, just like you do with your swimmer. The buttons are right next to each other. I'll show you those in just a moment. And when you get to the swim meet, just as you will, I'll show you in a minute, we'll check in your swimmer. There's a swimmer check-in and a volunteer check-in. And if you're volunteering, you need to check into the volunteer table as well, just so that we know all of our volunteers are present and we can be successful with our swim meet. Some example jobs that are real popular. Timer is probably our #1 most popular job. It has to be, because we need 1836 timers per meet is what we need. Concessions is another one that people like to do, selling refreshments and drinks and burgers and that kind of stuff. The only thing with our setup is concessions is actually on the front of the clubhouse, so you won't necessarily get to watch the meet if you sign up to work concessions. Hospitality, runner, heat ribbons, those jobs have you walking around a lot. You're kind of in the thick of the action the whole time, so you get to stop and watch the meet if you want to, but you're doing a lot of walking around with those. Meet setup and breakdown. Meet setup helps us organize the pool deck for the meet, and then meet breakdown helps us put it back together. The expectation is we have the pool deck, ready to go for the next day for the residents by the end of the meet, and we have to make sure it looks like the meet didn't happen. So the meet breakdown team is a good one to be on if you like putting things back together and you can stay late. There are some other jobs that do require training. We've been doing a big push with strokes and turns referees this year. That does require training. You have to be trained to know what to look for the strokes and turns judges. I think somebody's trying to join here. So that's an example of a job that requires training. And it does take about 75 volunteers to pull off a swim meet. So many hands make light work. If you can volunteer, great. Happy to have all the volunteers we can get. We do split the meet between first and second half. Generally right after backstroke, which is long about event 33, I think. I was just looking at it a minute ago. It's about event 33. So your volunteer shift will be about half the meet. So if you're a first half volunteer, expect to be done right after backstroke. And if you're a second half volunteer, expect to start right after backstroke. And pro tip, one of the mistakes I made early on, if your child is only swimming in the first half of the meet, don't volunteer for a second half job unless you can actually stay. I made that mistake once upon a time, and I haven't heard the end of it yet. And so be sure that if your swimmer is not swimming second half, don't look at those jobs. Some jobs do have early arrival times, meet setup especially, and volunteer check-in jobs. Those jobs will probably require you getting to the pool around 4 or 4:30. So just to have that expectation, if you sign up for those jobs, be sure that your schedule allows you to be there that early. We haven't really had to do this a lot, but we do put into our policies that if we do have unfilled volunteer roles, that we will just assign them out. I don't think we've had to do that in the last couple of seasons, but it's out there as one of our policies. And one of the other things that would help us with that is if you can't make it to a meet for whatever reason, tell us so. When you declare your swimmer, there'll be an option in there to say, yes, I can attend the meet, or no, I can't. If you select no, I can't, then we know we can assign you a job. So that helps us out. Okay, volunteer sign up. Okay, so this is what the website looks like. Just a screenshot of this, our first meet at Hampton Park. You'll have two buttons there. Meet entry is for your swimmer, and the job sign up is for you. So you'll click on job sign up, and then it'll look like this. It'll have the adults associated with your swimmer as available to sign up for jobs. I'll mention that again just so you're clear on what this means. So Swimtopia, the platform, is set up around the swimmer. Kind of the swimmer is the core of the system, if you will. And the adults that are associated with the swimmer can all see each other, especially in this volunteer screen here. So in my example here, Papa McSwimmerson and Mama McSwimmerson, well, Mama could come in here and sign Papa up for a job if she wanted to, which is fine. Just be sure you communicate that. So if you're signing up somebody other than yourself, or you're signing up your spouse or somebody else, just be sure to communicate that. Because we have had instances in the past where Mom went in there and signed Dad up for a job and didn't bother to tell Dad about it. So he got to the meeting and said, "What do you mean I'm timing?" And it's like, well, you're signed up to time. I don't know what to tell you. And so it does have that capability. Just be sure you communicate with the other parents on your account. And also make sure you're selecting the correct parent. If you mean to sign up yourself and you accidentally sign up your spouse, we can fix it, but just check those things along the way. So you'll click sign up for jobs, and then the jobs that are available to you will show up in a list here. And all you have to do is just click on the job that you want and hit save assignment. I'll mention again the first and second half. It'll be in the name of the job here. So clerk of course, first half, timer, first half, verse second half. So if you want to do second half, be sure you pick a second half job. If you want to do first half, be sure you pick a first half job. And so that's where you see that in the signups. So you'll select the job you want and click Save Assignment, and then you're signed up. That's all you have to do. If something changes and you can't do your volunteer obligation, as long as it's before the cutoff time, all you have to do is come back to the website and you'll uncheck the job that you signed up for and save assignment, and that'll release the job to somebody else. So that's that. And then if you do have any questions or issues, you can always reach out to Ashley at the volunteer coordinator Gmail account there. Okay. All right, practices. We are holding all of our practices at the Roundtree main pool this year. If you can make morning practices work for your schedule, please do so. We have the whole pool to ourselves in the morning. In the afternoon, we're limited to 3 lanes. So we only have half the pool in the afternoon. So if you can make morning practices work for your schedule, please do so. But if you can't, you can't. We understand, that's why we have afternoon practice. But that's the recommendation there. We do not have practice Wednesday mornings. Our meets are usually Tuesday night, and they can go late into the night. And so having morning practice on Wednesday, we skip it, basically. It also is the time we've arranged with the pool management company to do their weekly cleaning of the pool, or the deep cleaning of the pool. So it works out for us there. No practice Tuesday evenings. Tuesdays are our normal meet days, so even if we're swimming at somebody else's pool, we do not hold practice at our pool. So just to be clear there, no practice Tuesday evenings. Our practice groups are based on age. In the past, we had done a skill-based practice group. We had skill levels 1 through 6, and we have had the good problem of having a lot of young swimmers that qualified to be at level 6. So you just had some odd combinations of swimmers of different ages in the practice groups. So we decided to go back to age group practices. There's also no need to really tell us if you're going to miss practice. Not everybody comes to practice every day. So you don't need to necessarily email the coach every time you're going to miss a practice. The only exception I would say is if the coach is expecting you for whatever reason. If you had made arrangements to work on butterfly or something like that, that might be just a courteous email, say, hey, I can't make it today for whatever reason. But generally speaking, no need to tell us that you're going to miss practice. And then keep an eye out for any practice changes. I think we've seen that a lot already with the app push notifications, emails, social media. We try and catch all the available avenues of communication there, so hopefully we don't miss anybody. All right. I'm going to pause right here for a second. I know we've kind of covered a lot already. I'm going to just pause for questions, and then we'll talk about swim meets. So anything besides swim meets anybody has questions about? All right, we're doing good then.
Paul, if I could just add one thing in terms of volunteer, if you do have the time and are willing to, we highly encourage and ask you to, volunteer above the minimum requirement. As a board, we're all volunteers as well, and wherever there is a gap, we end up filling in, which means a lot more hours. So we, again, thank you all so much for all the volunteering you do and all the help along the way.
Well stated, Tim. Thank you.
Tim, Paul and Tim, I guess I have one more thing to add to when registering your swimmer for meets. Are you going to go over that next?
Yes, Kelly. Hold any questions
kidding.
related
I
to
will
meets.
hold my comments. Sorry about that. I'm multitasking tonight.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay. So let's move into swim meets. And again, I apologize. I have to move a little quickly here. We're about to cover a lot of information. And it is a lot. But again, feel free, raise your hand, pause if you need clarification on anything. All right. So let's talk all things swim meet. Number one, you got to dress the part. The team swimsuit is available from Virginia Swim Shop. At this point, I think you might have to go pick it up from their shop. They're over at Regency Square. If anybody remembers where the old Macy's was under there, that's kind of where their shop is. We do offer one WaveRiders cap for new swimmers. If you need another cap, they are currently $10 each, I think. Manufacturers print suits for about 2 years, and this is year 2 for this suit, so we're expecting to have to purchase new suits again next year. We won't be able to use the same suit again, just because the manufacturer stopped making them, is what it amounts to. They quit making these prints, and so we have to move to a new suit. And then keep an eye on the Facebook. People will put suits for sale up there, especially between the first and second year of the same suit. If kids outgrow a suit, then they'll put their old suit up for sale on Facebook. Old suits also work well as practice suits. Generally speaking, you can wear pretty much any suit you want to practice within reason. But for team events like the breakfast, the mock meet would be a good one to wear the team suit to. And then certainly any other swim meet, you want to wear the team suit. The meet schedule, we do have our mock meet this Saturday, which is just our kind of intra-squad meet, just to get everybody kind of, say, okay, this is how a swim meet flows and where I need to go and where I need to be, especially for new swimmers there. So that's this Saturday. Our 6 regular season meets are on Tuesdays, except for the last meet is on a Monday. And the reason that meet is pushed to Monday is because the league has to get all teams organized for the championship meet that we just call champs. So they want an extra day there. Champs this year is Monday and Tuesday, July 21st and 22nd. And that will be held at the Collegiate School Aquatic Center, also known as Swim RVA, off Route 10 near Chippenham, behind like a Henning Elementary. I think that's Ucrop Park over there. It's back there. Can't miss it. It's a huge swim facility. Meets are scheduled for Tuesdays. In the event of bad weather, we try and make them up on Wednesdays. And then if we can't make it up Wednesday, we have to figure it out from there. But generally speaking, if we get a weather delay, if we can't finish the meet that night, we'll try and finish it the next day. Did somebody just try and join? Oh, there was a chat. Where'd that chat go? Angela, I saw it for a second. What's the question?
Yeah, it doesn't have to do with the meets. You can answer it later. It was more about the practices, just to confirm when they're happening, because I want to keep that straight.
Sure. Kelly, off the top of your head, practices. So we have just afternoon practice for the rest of this week while school is in session. No practice on Friday. And then once we get into our summer schedule, mornings are Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. You know what? I've got it on the website.
I can check it, Paul. If it's there, it's no problem.
Okay. All right.
I apologize. I broke the flow. I apologize.
No, you're good. You triggered my oh, look, a squirrel, that thing. Okay, so anywho, okay, meet schedule, declaring for a meet. Okay, so back on the calendar on the website, where we looked at the job sign up button, right next to that is the meet entry button. And when you click the meet entry button, you'll have an option to edit your swimmer's declaration, and there's a pull down. It'll say undeclared, and then you select either attending this meet or not attending this meet. The default is that you're not attending. You have to go in there and you have to say, yes, I will be there. And you can make changes to that up until the cutoff date. So you could go in there now and say that you are, there we go. So you can go in there now and say, no, I can't make it this Saturday. And then an hour later, you come back and say, oh, yes, I can make it. So I will attend this meet up until the cutoff time. After the cutoff time, you need to reach out to the board and reach out to the coach's email address there to see if we can make a change. There's no additional cost to swim in a meet in our league. If you do like year-round swim, My running joke in my house was it cost me $10 every time my kid jumps in the water. Not the case here with the summer swim team. You paid your registration fee. That's it. You can swim as many times as you can. You can also put a note for the coach in your registration. Popular things are, my swimmer's not ready for a butterfly, or we have to leave early, please nothing after backstroke, that kind of stuff. Anything you want your coach to know that would help you out and help your swimmer out. And if the coach has questions, he'll reach out. Meet entries do have, I don't want to say a hard close per se. We can make some edits after the fact, but we do close the registrations because we have to merge our entries with the other team's entries and build the meet. And then we have some materials we have to print out to support the meet. So if you do need to make any changes to your swimmer's declaration after the meet closure, let us know as soon as you can. My rule of thumb is if you're not sure if you can make it or not, go ahead and say, yes, I'll be there. The reason is it's much easier to take your swimmer out of the meet than it is to put them in a meet. When we take a swimmer out of the meet, sometimes we don't have to do anything. We just put them as a no swim and call it a day. But to get them into the meet creates, there's a lot more administrative work on the back end that has to happen. And then we can't always guarantee that they're going to swim with their same gender or age or anything like that. We kind of have to fit them in where we can. So we can do it, but if you're on the fence, again, just go ahead and say yes. And then if you can't make it, let us know. But if you can't make it, you can't make it. That's fine. If you're going to be out of town or something, go ahead and just tell us, no, I'm not going to be there, and that's fine. Okay, let me take a water real quick. All right, timeline for a meet, just so you're aware of when you got to be where, generally speaking. This is a sample schedule from last season. Generally speaking, home meets, you have to get there a little bit earlier. Away meets, you get there a little bit later just because of the travel. You'll check yourself if you're volunteering at the front gate along with your swimmer. Always check in your swimmer so we know that everybody's there. The league standard for start time for a meet is 6:30. With some of the bigger meets in our division, we back it up to 6 o'clock if we can. Right now, I think everything's at 6:30 this season. We haven't heard from Halsley yet. Halsley's the one I think is going to end up starting at 6. But everybody else right now I think wants to start at 6:30, which is fine with us. Depending on when the meet's going to start, either 6 or 6:30, warm-ups can start somewhere between 5 and 5:45. So you have to have your swimmer there, cap on, goggles ready, ready to jump in the water when warm-ups start. Meets can also last until 10:30 or 11. So that is if you have older swimmers who are in a relay, or you have swimmers that are going to stay there all the way through butterfly and breaststroke, then you'll be there close to 10 or 10:30 potentially. It depends on the size of the meet and how quick it flows. But just to set the expectation. If your swimmer is only swimming freestyle and backstroke, and you're done with freestyle and backstroke, you're good to leave. Especially 8 and unders, your relays are at the beginning of the meet. So there's no chance really that your swimmer would be needed for a relay at that point. So you're good to leave. Go ahead and get out of there. If you have older swimmers, it might do good to just check with the coaches before you leave, because what'll happen is, somebody's a last minute no-show or something like that, and we need another swimmer to make a relay. So that's why I say, just check with coach. Before you leave, just have your swimmer say, hey, coach, I'm done. Do you need me for a relay? And coach will say, nope, you're good to go. Have a good evening. Or might want to pull you into a relay. So just a little bit of advice there. Okay, parking. As I've kind of alluded to, parking can be tough. A division has some very large teams. The teams we're visiting will give us a parking map and tell us where we can and can't park. The don't swim at Fox Creek this year, but Fox Creek is especially strict. They don't want anybody parking on the main road there. But then at Mag Green, that's kind of our only choice, is to park on the main road. But they'll publish parking maps. For Roundtray, the pool at Roundtray, the parking lot here by the tennis court is hours, I'll say, but it does fill up very quickly. I would say by 5 o'clock, this parking lot's full. So you're looking at parking on the street somewhere around the pool, or other options are carpool with a friend. If you live close enough to the pool, walking is probably your best bet. But at the end of the day, just be considerate of the residents. Don't block people's driveways, that kind of stuff. Arrive as early as you can, within reason. Don't get there at noon unless you want to. But I would say anytime after 4 or 4:30 would be pretty reasonable to try and get, especially to home meets. Try and get your spot and whatever else, because it just fills up. It can be very crowded. So just as early as you can. All right, let's talk about the heat sheet. The heat sheet is the program of the meet, if you will. It'll usually be published at least a day ahead of the meet, and it'll show you, everybody's entries and who you're swimming against and all that stuff. And what you want to take out of this sheet is your swimmer's event, heat, and lane, called the EHL. We're going to use that again in just a second. So your swimmer's event, heat, and lane. Heat sheets used to be printed. When my oldest first started, they still printed them and sold them for $1 each, and had a little fundraiser with it, but we don't do that anymore. And people look at them on their phone and whatnot, so that's that. Okay, how to read the heat sheet. Generally, it's 3 columns, and you just start at the top of the first column and go down, and then you go move back up to the middle column and read down, and then to the third column and read down, and then to the next page, and so on. But that's how it reads, just from top to bottom in each column. And then we want to find our swimmers' event, heat, and lane for the heat sheet before the meet. So this is an example I just pulled off Google. In this case, we want Ruth McGee is the swimmer that we're interested in. And so we found Ruth's name here, and we see that she's in event number 7, the girls 8 and under 100-yard IM. She's in heat number 2 of 2. And this little 3 right here indicates she's in lane 3. So she's event 7, heat 2, lane 3. And so we pull that out to get her EHL as 723 for that one. Okay, and the next thing we do with that data is we write it on our child. Usually on their arm is where we like to have their EHL. Some of the bigger kids like it on their leg for whatever reason, my kid included, but whatever, to each their own. But the EHL, and that helps your swimmer know where they're supposed to be, and helps you know where they're supposed to be. And then it helps the volunteers who are getting your kid to the blocks know where they're supposed to be. So in this example, this swimmer is event 6, heat 4, lane 4, and so on and so forth. The other piece of information we like to have written on your kid is their name. This is a picture of Ellie Allen, who's one of our swimmers. She wrote her whole name on her back. With my kid, I just write the last name. Cassida is somewhat unique last name, so that's fine. In Ellie's case here, E. Allen would have been good as well, but she just went with the full name, and that's fine. What has to happen is the clerk of course needs to make sure that that's the right kid. Then the person lining up the races has to make sure they have all the right kids, and then the person who's timing has to make sure they have the right kids. So to have the child's name written on their shoulder like that just kind of helps smooth that along. Sharpie is the preferred instrument with which to write on your child, or anything similar should be fine. Just a word of caution, unsupervised children with Sharpies and permission to write on each other I think we have some inspiring tattoo artists on the team, and I'll just leave it at that. Some of the kids get very creative. We recommend having your EHL written on your child before they leave the house, just because it's a much calmer environment than once you get, around the pool somewhere or on the grass somewhere at the swim meet. Just makes for a lot easier to write on your child. And a little bit of a catch-22 with spray sunscreen. Spray sunscreen is actually the best way to get Sharpie off your skin, apparently. So once if you put sunscreen on your kid first and then try and write on them, it probably won't go well. So write on your kid first, then apply sunscreen. Just be careful around the writing. Okay, so that's kid prep. Parent prep. As I mentioned before, arrive in time to park and in time for warm-ups. Sun protection, umbrella, tent, whatever. Some people, bring their beach pop-up tent and put it up and have a full-on tailgate and whatever else. But sun protection is a must. I'll say at Magnolia Green especially. Their visiting seating area is the parking lot. So, July in Central Virginia, sitting on a, parking lot in the sun, it can get warm. So any sun protection you need there. Me personally, I just bring my golf umbrella and, I carry it around if needed, but I'm usually walking around a lot anyway with my big stupid hat. So whatever you need for sun protection, sunscreen, but again, be careful around anything Sharpie on your kid that might make it come off. Concessions. Here's a couple of good looking guys there. The guy in the back here is Tim, who's on the call tonight, and the guy on the right is David, who's Kelly's husband. And they are the grill masters of the WaveRiders. And apparently we have the best burgers in all of A division. So I'll just mention that as a plug, but that's the kind of food to expect at swim meets. Either grill food like this or food truck food. So if your kid needs something else, best practice would be to bring it. I always end up bringing snacks like grapes, strawberries, granola bars, that kind of thing. Whatever your kid needs for snacks or meals. Drinks also, definitely bring some water, Gatorade if you want to. Yeah, so be prepared for that. Recommendation is for at least 2 towels. So after your kids jumped in the pool a couple of times, that first towel gets wet. So it's good to have a backup and have a second one so that your kid still has a dry towel. I put chairs in there because I literally showed up to my first swim meet without a chair. So that's one, that one's me. Don't forget a chair. So what we do with the pool deck is basically we take everything off the pool deck that we can to run kids there. So the chairs that are normally at the pool will not be available, and people normally set up on the grass outside the gate or outside the fence at our pool. And so yeah, bring your own chairs. Imagine you're just going on a picnic, basically. Chairs, blankets to sit on, and definitely some kind of sun protection. Yep, mentioned already, know what event your child is in. As Kelly likes to say, once the kids get out of the car, it's like mice scattering. They're going to be all over the place. The meet cannot wait for your child. That's part of our check-in process also, is so we know who we have and who we need, and we will try and call swimmers that need to come to clerk a course to get checked in to get ready for their race, but we can't always wait for them to get there. It's a lot of kids and we have to move through. So please, just have an idea where your kid is and listen for the announcer. Our announcer will call the events, and there's also a little banner thing that shows what event we're on and what event we're calling. And generally speaking, whatever events in the pool, let's say event number 10 is swimming, we're calling event 12, 13, 14, some number of other events beyond that to go ahead and come to clerk a course. Okay, so listen for that. And if your child, in this example, if event 10 is swimming and we're calling event 14 to clerk of course, so that means 11, 12, 13, and now 14 should be checking in. And if your child is 15 or 16, And then that's your signal to say, hey, it's almost time. Let's, do you need a snack? Do you need a drink? Do you need to go to the bathroom? All that stuff, so that they're ready to go to clerk of course when it's their time. Our clerk of course at the Roundtray pool is, I'll say, the corner of the pool closest to the women's restroom here. If you can see the example, I know it's not particularly clear, but that kind of corner of the pool where the steps are closest to the women's restroom or the tennis court, that's where clerk of course is. And you'll check your swimmer in there, and from there the clerk of course will pass them over to the seating volunteers to get them lined up, and then over to the blocks and into their swim. With the little kids, we also have mite parents that help organize the little kids. That's a good volunteer job as well for somebody that's good with little kids. And I think I mentioned already, we split the meet into 2 halves. It's about event 33 is the number I saw today when I was working on some stuff. It's after backstroke. For our home meets at Roundtray, the clubhouse is not open to swimmers, and it's not open to adults who are not doing an administrative job in support of the meet. The clubhouse committee at Roundtray reminded us to make sure that everybody's aware that swimmers, especially wet swimmers, are not allowed in the clubhouse at all. And then, the clubhouse is not open to the public, if you will, of a swim meet. So as long as you're doing a job and you're supposed to be in the clubhouse, great. Otherwise, Roundtray Clubhouse Committee asked us to remind everybody, stay out. The other part of the pool that's closed is the kiddie pool and the water slide. That whole area is closed. The focus of the lifeguards is on the meet, and they're not watching the rest of the pool. If the rest of the pool is closed, we do rope it off. You would think would be enough to keep people out, but not so much. So we do ask people to stay out of that pool, and we do ask them to get out when we see them. All right, some other terminology around the events. The league rules that we have allow swimmers to swim 3 individual events plus 1 relay. Freestyle, backstroke, breaststroke, all the different strokes, and the medley and the relays. And again, 8 and unders, your relays are at the beginning of the meet, and then older kids, your relays are at the end of the meet. Younger kids, 8 and unders, your individual events are 25 meters at our pool. Our pool's a meters pool. So they'll jump off the blocks and swim to the other end of the pool, and then that's their race. Once you get beyond that, once you get into 50s, and that's down and back, and then hundreds is down and back twice. The other thing you'll see is Y versus S. So our pool is a meters pool, so we actually get designated as S, which actually stands for short course meters, as opposed to Y, which is yards. Mag Green and the Champs pool are yards pools. So you'll see your times a little bit different at those pools, but that's what those abbreviations mean and the designations there. Gold, silver, bronze, qual, those are some terms you'll see as well. That roughly aligns to time standards. Everyone is at least a bronze level swimmer. And then once you reach the higher end of bronze, or the faster end of bronze, you'll reach a qualifying time. And once your swimmer makes a qualifying time, they're eligible to participate in the champs meet at the end of the season. And then once you surpass the bronze tier, you get to silver, then gold. The other thing we do with those is what's called divisional scoring. And so the gold swimmers get scored against each other, and the silver and the bronze all get scored against each other individually. And so for a given event, we can have a first place gold swimmer, a first place silver swimmer, and a first place bronze swimmer. And the scores are split up accordingly, which I have an example in an upcoming slide. Disqualification or DQ, it happens to everybody, especially as your swimmer is growing and trying out new strokes. They will probably get disqualified at some point. It's okay, it's growth. That's always the conversation that we have in our house is, hey, you learned what you did wrong and do better next time. Disqualifying a kid for trying something new at summer swim, people are like, do we really want to do that? Short answer is yes, it's only fair. Because if my kid's in the other lane and the kid next to her is doing the stroke wrong and gets an advantage because of it, that's not fair to me. So it's only fair if the swimmer is not doing the stroke correctly or does something incorrect during the race, that they get disqualified. And like I said, the opportunity for growth, and it happens to everybody. There we go. All right. Move along. I like this one. This is our watch and go advice. I'm going to back up just a couple of slides here. Okay, so this top picture here is kind of looking down at the round tray pool. This purple rectangle over here at the turn end of the pool is the term there. So you've got the block end or the diving end of the pool, and then you've got the turn end of the pool where a 50-meter race would turn and go back. So our observation area is down here at the turn end, closest to the pump house and restrooms. And as a courtesy, watch your swimmer and then move along. There's a lot of people, as I've mentioned, and a lot of swimmers are trying to get through there. So just be considerate. Know when your swimmer is going to swim. And what I do is, I kind of put myself where I need to be. And then when it's my kid's turn, I step up, take the video for grandma and grandpa, and then I step back. People will park themselves right there. They know what they're doing, I swear. And usually just a simple excuse me is enough to get them to move along. But just as a courtesy, be sure to move along once you've watched your swimmer swim. Also, I'll mention while we're here, the flow of our meet is the swimmers enter at this corner. They actually exit kind of towards the front gate of the pool. So all the arrows pointing this way, the flow continues that way. So once they get out of the pool, they should exit the other way. So if you want to go meet your swimmer after their race, that's the area you need to go. But yeah, other pools do it differently. Matt Green especially, they have a guy whose job it is to make sure people move along. He scooted me along once or twice, so just keep that in mind when you're watching your swimmer. Okay, once an event has been scored, the results for that event get printed and posted on the wall by the lifeguard check-in station near the front gate is where we do it. Other pools do it differently. You'll find them because that's where all the kids are crowded around looking at their scores. But that's where we post it. And you can see here, Madeline Webb was our one gold swimmer in this race. And she got a first place in gold. Tegan Sadie got first place in silver, and Katie Grace Joyner got first place in bronze. And you can see I've got a couple bronze swimmers, and then these swimmers here are all qualifying swimmers, so they qualify for champs. Silver swimmers qualify for champs as well. Madeline Wagner from Matt Green got a disqualification here. And then Tegan Sadie, you see, is a silver swimmer, but then over by her score, it says gold plus. So whenever you see this plus, that means the swimmer achieved the next tier. So next race, Tegan will be a gold swimmer for this race or for this event. So expect that per event during the meet, and then we post the full results online the day after the meet. Ribbons. Ribbons are always fun. The top 6 swimmers, I think it is, in each event of each category get ribbons. So if I back up just a slide here, so Maddie Webb would be getting a first place ribbon, so would Tegan Sadie, and so would Katie Grace Joyner. They'd all be getting first place ribbons because they came in first in their respective divisions. Our ribbons are distributed via box. You'll find a folder with your family's last name or your swimmer's last name on the edge of the folder there. Siblings are grouped together, and the ribbon box is usually by the check-in station it meets, and usually hangs around a practice somewhere. And then at the end of the season, it's usually on somebody's porch for you to come pick up any late season awards. Speaking of awards, our banquet this year, we're happy to be going back to the Fulgham Conference Center at the Chesterfield Technical Center on Hull Street, which is the old Clover Hill High School Has a wonderful pickleball court there if anybody plays pickleball. Scheduled for July 16th this year. We give all of the kids a little token award for participation, and then the coaches also have some other awards they give out for like most points scored, and we call it the Mighty Wave Award for like our spirit award, if you will. So that's the banquet. That's July 16th, and then the championship meet this year is again July 21 and 22, which is a Monday and Tuesday, which is when the league could get the facility. We'd much prefer it to be on a weekend, but it is Monday and Tuesday again this year. At the Collegiate School Aquatic Center, also known as Swim RVA. It is kind of neat to see all the different teams because with the division, you see the same few teams all season or from season to season. And then once a year, you get to see everybody. The whole league is somewhere around 25, 28 teams, something like that. So it is neat to get to see all the different teams. Same as a normal regular season meet, you must tell us that your swimmer can be there. If you don't say yes, then it's a no. And with champs, it is much harder to get your swimmer in after the fact because we have to compile not just 2 teams worth of data, but 25 teams worth of data into one. And if you don't declare your swimmer by the cutoff date, we really can't guarantee that they'll be able to swim. So again, same rules apply. If you're on the fence, go ahead and say yes. Otherwise, you might not be able to get you in there later. Parking at this facility is actually not bad, considering. Still advise you to get there early. The parking lot can fill up, but it's much more generous than any neighborhood pool is. The last couple of years, they have live streamed this event, so I give the link to Grandma and Grandpa and let them watch instead of having to come out. But I have not heard if it's going to be live streamed again this year or not. I would be surprised if it were not. It should be. But we'll confirm that when we get a little bit closer. We'll also confirm the schedule. And just to give you an example, we don't have, all the kids from all the teams show up on one day. They actually split it up into 4 different segments. So all the 8 and unders were Monday morning, and the 9 and 10-year-olds were Monday afternoon. And then the 11 and 12s were Tuesday morning, and the 13 and up were Tuesday afternoon. Again, that was last year's schedule, but just to give you an example. They do split it up, so it's not, the whole county descending in the facility at one time. All right. The other fun thing the HOA lets us do is a dog swim. If you have dogs that are good with other dogs and like to swim, this will be, hopefully we get to do this again. It'll be beginning of September. Once the pool closes for the season, they let us let the dogs jump in one day. Last year it was $10 a dog, and we raised almost $600 and supported the swim team for it. So that's always fun. Look for that. Hopefully we can do it again. That would be in September. All right. Hey, not bad. All right. So that's the end of my presentation. I know I went extremely quickly, going through a whole bunch of stuff, a whole lot of information. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about or have questions? Sophia, Miss Yancey, go ahead.
Question. So let's see that my son has 3 3 events, I'm sorry. So unfortunately I can't make the 3rd one. What do I have to do? Like, it runs too late, it's 10 o'clock, and I have to put my little one to sleep, for example, whatever reason I can't make the last one. What do I do in this case? Thank you.
Sure. So in that case, what I would do is probably just tell the coach, or if you can have your swimmer tell the coach, or if you can find one of the board members. Kelly, I can't remember. We're supposed to be getting special shirts this year to help us stand out a little bit better.
Yeah, some of us will have board member shirts. I think they're going to be blue tank tops. If
can't wait.
you know ahead of time, let's say your spouse is going to be traveling that Tuesday night, and you know that you're going to be the one that has to put your little one to bed, and you need to be home at a certain time, leave a note in the notes for coach section when you sign your kid up for the meet. That would help Coach Caleb know that if your kid is 9 and up and he wants to put them in a relay, which are the very last events of the night, he knows not to do that, because if we don't have enough swimmers for those relays, then obviously we forfeit that particular relay for that relay group, if that makes sense. So yeah, if you know ahead of time when you're signing your kid up for a meet that you will not be able to stay past a certain time, please note that in the notes for coach. And if you don't know that ahead of time and it just sporadically happens or spontaneously happens, find a board member or somebody at the entrance to clerk of course, and they will go and get one of our coaches to relay that information to Caleb.
Yeah, I will definitely know beforehand. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Sure.
Yeah. So like Kelly said, if you know beforehand, that's definitely something you want to put in the notes for coach. But if something happens and you have to leave, which happens, yeah, find the clerk of course, who will be, right here by the steps, or any of the board members, or if your kid can grab a coach or something like that, just find somebody and let them know. All right. Any other questions?
I just want to add, since we're on the
Oh,
screen, for the clerk of course is only for swimmers. Parents are technically not allowed beyond that point. As you can imagine, we have many swimmers and little deck space, and we cannot allow all parents to walk their swimmers all the way through clerk of course to the blocks, essentially. Now, if your kid is having an absolute meltdown, tantrum, what have you, exceptions can and will be made, but we cannot have each parent walking back there with their kid, unfortunately.
And as a reminder, if you want to be up close and personal with your kids while they're swimming, maybe not in the exact lane, volunteering for timing is a great way to do that.
Yep. I saw a question, do volunteers wear special shirts? Short answer is no. What we typically give out, and I think what other teams typically give out, is lanyards. And that'll act like your backstage pass, if you will. So expect to have that if you're timing or something. And that also helps people know that you are supposed to be there. To Kelly's point, clerk of course is, somewhat controlled as to who can enter. And having that lanyard on lets people know that you're supposed to be there. Timer's a big one. Anybody working hospitality, any of your runners who are running paperwork around the course, strokes and turns officials, everybody like that will have a lanyard to get them backstage. But short answer there is no, we don't have special shirts, but lanyards all day long. I love my lanyard. All right, other questions?
Just to add to that watch and go area, if we're doing relays and there are 2 out of the 4 swimmers are positioned at that end of the pool, technically we are not supposed to have any video or photos taken. Same rule applies to no photography behind the blocks. Like if you're timing or something and you want to take a picture of your kid up on the blocks, it's a USA Swimming rule that there is no photography or videography behind the blocks for swimmer safety.
All right. Any other questions or anything else anybody wants to discuss? Going once. Going twice. Well, all right. Well, thank you all so much for joining. If you do think of something, feel free to reach out to the WaveRiders WaveRiders swim team email address, and one of us will be happy to answer your question. General questions, again, our Facebook is a wonderful resource if you're on Facebook. Yeah, I hope we have a great season, and thank you all for joining.
Thank you so much, Paul. Really appreciate it.
Oh, sure.
Thank you. Oh, sure.